Move on to beastTEXAS. Today's beastTEXAS High Schools from the Press Box on the Right Team podcast is brought to you by Styles Electric, proudly serving East Texas from offices in Mount Pleasant and Longview. Styles Electric has delivered reliable professional electrical services for more than 25 years. From school districts and universities to civic organizations and commercial projects across the region, Styles is proud to power the projects that help East Texas grow and thrive. When quality workmanship and trusted experience matter, choose Styles Electric, service that speaks for itself. Okay, Matt, I've decided to go a different direction than what I have shared with you on our notes, so I'm hoping you can hit a curveball here.
Okay.
I want to pose and we were going to just kind of regurgitate some of the scores from last night, but when I started looking at some of these things, another question popped in my mind, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it as well, because it's a serious thing. And again, it's a one night kind of snapshot of what went on last night in high school baseball in our area. But man, I'm wondering where has all the pitching gone? I don't know if you've seen some of the scores from around our area last night. I didn't look at softball. That's a completely different thing. We'll touch on that maybe at some point. But here's some of the scores that I found last night, according to TexasHighSchoolBaseball.com site, which does a really good job of keeping their website updated, opposed to Max Preps, which isn't always accurate. Starting in 6A, Rockwall beat Longview 10-0. Legacy defeated North Forney 15-0. Lufkin defeated Tyler High 15-0. Texas High defeated Marshall 9-0. Hallsville beats Jacksonville 17-2. Carthage beats Chapel Hill 17-0. Spring Hill defeated Cumberland Academy 16-1. I know this is redundant, but we're about halfway through here. Kilgore defeated Henderson 10-3. New Diana beats Jefferson 19-5. Redwater shuts out Queen City 24-0. That's a good football score. Tatum defeats Gladewater 10-0. Center defeats Sabine 15-2. Harleton defeated Wascom 19-1, and then to cap it all off in the 2A ranks, Elysian Fields defeated Ore City 19-4. I didn't add all that up, but that's a pretty big margin on average of win, and a lot of double digits and teams up there. You've watched more high school baseball than I have this year, probably. What have you? Was that just a one-night anomaly, or is this a kind of a general epidemic with our pitching right now? Now, and it's not, there's a lot of zeros on here too. So
in each of those games, one team pitched really well. I think to an extent, and I'm going to give you a possible reason for some of that in some of our districts, but I think this has more to do with the haves and have-nots. At least the districts that I'm more familiar with, like Harleton's district and the one that Hallsville's in, there's haves and there's have-nots. I have, Marshall's in a very much a rebuild. Coach Jackson Hood's first year. He's a Coach Hood. I have no doubt that program is going to get back. It takes time. It's a very much a rebuild. I've seen Nacogdoches, I've seen Jacksonville, I've seen Tyler High. They are have-nots. They do not have the horses that Hallsville and White House and Lufkin and some of these other schools have. But I'm going to tell you part of the reason also in some of the districts, and specifically in that Hallsville-Marshall district, you've got 9 teams. You're going to have to play 3 games a week sometimes. Look, at some point, pitching's going to run thin, and at some point you're going to have to decide, okay, Friday night is the game I feel like I have the best chance or that I need to win. Saturday, maybe I'm not going to win, and Tuesday I think I'm going to win maybe a little easily, so I'm going to pitch my best guy Friday night and the one I got to get. Saturday, I'm just going to throw someone out there and hope it works. Like you have to go through all that. When you're playing 3 games and you're on pitch counts, and I want to give Coach Hood credit and Marshall, because if you look at his roster, and it's a small roster, David, we're talking about like maybe 12 baseball players on that varsity roster. 9 of them are listed as pitchers because he knows you've got to be able to throw it. We've got to have some arms. And I look forward to seeing how that grows in the years ahead. But some of it has to do with playing 3 games a week because the UIL's got some big old districts when you got a 9-team district, it's hard to figure out your pitching, man.
Yeah, those are good points. I just go back to pitching development, and you mentioned the haves and the have-nots, and that is a real thing. And it's kind of weird, but I believe this as I've gotten older and seen it. I've been through the high school ranks of watching it personally. You have certain schools that are football schools. And it's more of a mentality, it is with your community, right? Then you have schools that are and communities that are more geared toward what we call the minor sports, baseball, softball, volleyball, those kinds of things. And those are the teams that you typically see with the better pitching,
Right.
The better offensive and net play in volleyball, and it's because those communities, their kids are more committed is not the right word, have more opportunity to play travel ball.
Mm-hmm.
You get better, we get better at podcasting by just podcasting, right?
Right.
Whether good or bad, we just dive in and we do it. It's the same way with just about anything in life, and pitching is no different. You get better pitching by pitching. You have to go out and throw, and you have to do it a whole lot. I mean, you have to commit to it. Now, a lot of it, I'm just going to tell you, in my experience, I believe this. A lot of it's genetic. If a kid can throw 95 just picking a baseball up, that's genetic. Now,
Yeah.
and I'll just tell you up front. I mean, I saw Patrick Mahomes pitch in high school. Kid was throwing mid to upper 90s in high school.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was rare for him to throw it over the plate. And so it did not surprise me, even though his dad was a Major League Baseball player and he had played baseball his whole life. It didn't surprise me that much when he said, I'm going to go play quarterback at Texas Tech. Because he could throw a football straight, and he's proven that. And so there's one thing to the genetics, but there's one thing about the coaching and the ability to hone that. And you do that by pitching. And look, I don't want to turn this into a thing against travel baseball, because I'm not. I'm just, it can dominate a lot of your time and finances and things like that to really commit to it. And it's a family thing. I mean, you have to commit to it. And then there are some communities that, are more willing to do that. And it shows in these kinds of sports, I believe. Whereas there are a lot that, you don't see a whole lot of travel football going on. And kids can get in there and just play and let their natural abilities come out. And you have to work at that too. I'm not saying that, but I just noticed this one night snapshot last night with some of these teams. And again, most of them are on the sub side of 500, when you look at their standings, and they're struggling overall as a team. But these scores just kind of jumped out to me last night, as being, it's just kind of unusual to see that kind of an epidemic happen on one night. In baseball, and it all kind of came together last night. But those were some kind of really, really, really lopsided scores. And it'll be interesting to see how this improves as we get into the meat of district, and some of these contending teams start playing each other, and maybe these scores will come down. I know there's some great pitching around. I'm not saying it's not. It was just last night this kind of brought this up to me, and I'm like, we're missing depth. And it's either the schedule, it's either the fact we're not, some of these places we're not developing pitching, and you develop pitching in the summer and travel. That's how you do that. And by pitching, you don't develop it in the middle of a baseball season. I'm sorry. And most places you don't develop it in a high school baseball program because you don't play enough baseball. These kids are playing football. These coaches are coaching football. I mean, in basketball and things like that. And you don't develop a whole lot of skill doing this. And so these really good programs are dependent on their youth leagues and their travel ball to get these kids developed to a point where when they get to high school, they can roll them out there on a Tuesday or Friday and let them do their thing, and they're ready to go. Those are, don't let anybody tell you anything. That's a huge advantage when you have a situation where your youth programs, whatever that may be, mainly travel ball, competitive travel ball, is kind of dominant in your area. And I'll be honest. I mean, I have some regrets from what we did as a family. But it did help develop my son, and he got a college scholarship and did his thing. Right. But that's that to me. I don't know of any other way of developing pitching for the high school level than doing that. And it just kind of popped at me last night when I saw these scores, and I wanted to bring that up here today. One more thing here on the beastTEXAS section, I wanted to start here, Matt. And again, this is a very rudimentary list. I could just really do this off the top of my head with some local kids. You're going to see a lot of Hallsville kids on here because of that. But I did want us to kind of start taking a look at some of our beastTEXAS alums at the next level. And when I say next level, I mean either college or pro, right? And we're not missing anyone here on purpose. I just, if you see this on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, type in the name of your local athlete, and we'll put them on this list and try to follow them here where we can keep everybody up to date with what they're doing. And I felt kind of bad since football season ended that we didn't actually mention a couple of these that you and I know intimately. But of course, Savion Williams is a former wide receiver / quarterback athlete from Marshall who went to TCU. He's now a Green Bay Packer, drafted last year, I believe, in the 3rd round.
That's correct.
Savion completed his rookie season this past year. He caught 10 passes for 78 yards and a touchdown. He also had 11 carries for 37 yards. And primarily, though, he returned kicks for them, 28 kick returns, averaging just over 25 yards a return. Never can forget Savion. When I was at Marshall, I saw his very first varsity touchdown catch, and you'd have thought it was Randy Moss. I don't know if you were there that night at Rose Stadium in Tyler. Jump balls thrown in the end zone. He just literally goes up and he just went over the kid trying to guard him. And I'm okay. We got something. We got something here. But anyway, and then his senior year, of course, because of some tragedy and things like that happened in the program, he actually had to play quarterback. But anyway, fun to see him develop over the years and become really a promising pro there for the Packers. I hate the Packers. That's kind of sad that I was having to see Savion playing for them, but I am pulling for him for sure. Hate's a strong word. I probably shouldn't use that.
But
podcast when I'm talking about my guys, but let's just say they're not my favorite. The organization. Yeah. Okay. Tahj Washington, of course, came. Actually, was a year ahead of Savion in class. That's right. He's also a wide receiver. Probably played in that 2017 season team that went to the regional semifinals, I think, 3rd round.
Regional semis, 1 point loss
by Hallsville there at the Star. And Tahj, I mean, he caught the game-tying touchdown pass, or he caught the touchdown at the end that should have been the game-tying touchdown, and would have been if Coach Mathis. I mean, again, I thought it was the perfect call. He decided to go for 2, and of course, then Savion got interfered with. Okay, we won't go down that rabbit hole, but
that's another podcast.
That is we'll save that for football season. I've still got tweets I probably need to go and delete from the rage I had that night. But of course, Tahj, everyone knows who Tahj Washington is. He went to Memphis, and then he transferred to USC, played with Caleb Williams out at USC. I always knew that this kid, somebody was going to get a good one if they just took a shot on him in those early days. Yeah. And he just continued to develop. Had some injury issues when he got drafted into the NFL, but anyway, he's with Miami Dolphins right now, which the way they're moving their roster around, man, I don't know if you saw the big trade yesterday, but their receiver room is depleted. I would expect Tahj to maybe get some more opportunities. He didn't get a whole lot last year. He caught 3 passes for 37 yards, again, coming off of a big knee injury. Some other local players here, just running these down here. And again, these are all Hallsville because I know these kids intimately here, but Justin Slaten, of course, right-handed pitcher from Hallsville. went to New Mexico and played his college ball. Of course, was drafted by the Texas Rangers, was in their minor league program until 2 years ago when actually the Mets drafted him in the Rule 5 draft, and he was immediately traded to the Red Sox. But this past year, he's become really a key figure in his bullpen when he's healthy, in the Sox bullpen when he is healthy. 2025, he went 2-4 with a 4.24 ERA in 34 innings, but he did have 3 saves, 3 major league saves. So, and I know Justin and his family very well. He was on my son's travel ball team growing up. I actually coached him in T-ball. There's an old picture floating around of Marshall T-ball where I believe we were called the Astros, and I had my son Kobe, I had Justin, I had a couple of other kids who went on to play pretty serious high school and college baseball, and we won 1 T-ball game that year. It shows my coaching.
There you go.
But anyway, we grew up boys grew up together, and Justin has continued to blossom and is really a factor for those Red Sox in the bullpen if he can stay healthy. He's battled some issues that kind of frustrating, but he's a good kid and really pulling for him as he moves on in his career. Moving to basketball here, folks around this area, particularly in Hallsville, remember this kid, Anton McDermott. He was a 6'4" guard for the Bobcats. Really good high school player. Of course, some folks don't know this, but he's still on the roster at Texas. He's a redshirt freshman this year. He's actually played in 7 games this season.
I saw him celebrating last night.
Yeah. Anton's a really good player, really good shooter, and still trying to get some minutes there at Texas, but they did play in 7 games, which is way more than he played last year in his freshman year. So he did get a red shirt. And then I'm just going to rattle off some names here that have come across and I don't have any stats on these kids. We'll follow up with them here as we move on. But again, I know, Matt, you probably know some more from over there in your neck of the woods. We'll add to this list. But of course, Michaela Minshew is from Hallsville. She's the first baseman at ETBU softball. Sawyer Dunnigan is an infielder at Tyler Junior College. He, again, is a former Bobcat. A couple of other Bobcat baseball players here that are still playing college ball. Ethan Miller is an outfielder at Rich Mountain College. I believe that's in Arkansas. Is that right? No?
I'm not familiar with that one. Maybe, but I don't know for sure.
I think it's in Arkansas. I have to look at that. I could be wrong. But anyway, Ethan Miller is up there. Actually played quarterback for the Bobcats in his senior year a couple of years ago after being a really good receiver the year before. And then finally, pitcher Landon Bowden, a left-hander from actually Hallsville's last state finalist team a few years ago. He is at Blinn College. He is, of course, a former Hallsville Bobcat. And we'll try to follow up with some stats on these kids. I've just actually, as of last night, just started putting this list together. So if any of our listeners out there have any local kids that you know of that are in college or even in the pros that we may have missed in any sport, just let us know and we'll try to follow them here on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple Marshall names just because I know them. I know Connor Haggerty graduated with my son, an offensive lineman that has been a 3-year starter at SAU. If you know about Southern Arkansas, that's a ranked D2 program. And then a couple track guys, Spencer Taylor, who also graduated with my son, has been running track at Arkansas State. So that's a D1 track program right there and a pretty good one. And DJ Godot, who graduated last year, is running track for Prairie View A&M, and he's already set the school record in the 400 meter. As a freshman. So good stuff there from track. Of course, at Marshall, there's always going to be somebody that's good at track there. So I want to give a shout out to those kids.
There are a couple of other kids too that I know from White House, of course, and they're ATBU kids, but Kate Jones is from White House. I know her family very well my entire life. And so Kate is a sophomore at ETBU. And then, of course, Maddie Shirley is also a sophomore out there. I know Maddie very well. She was also from Hallsville. So got a lot of local kids still playing ball at various places all across the country, and we want to make sure we keep track of those here on beastTEXAS from the Press Box on the White Team podcast. Again, I want to thank Styles Electric for their support of our podcast and for sponsoring beastTEXAS today.